farming there under difficult conditions, a dry stock farmer but also a sheep farmer, and very committed, young family, and he wants to have some of the job for those people, a future in farming. Flor McCarthy, what can you say to the Minister? What do you need from a meaningful rural development plan as part of this CAP reform?
Well, my area is Pillar 2. There's 313 million of EU money in Pillar 2. We are calling on the Minister, Simon Coveney, to come out and give a clear indication that he's going to co-fund this money. We cannot draw this money down from Europe without 50-50 co-funding. And Minister Coveney needs to clear the confusion that we are not going to become the first minister to leave money behind him in Europe and tell us that there will be a disadvantaged area scheme into the future, an environmental scheme into the future, a farm investment scheme into the future, and a young farmer installation aid, because we have to have young farmers in any scheme going forward. So I am calling on the Minister to cut out the confusion and come out at this stage now and indicate that the Irish, that he is Minister for Agriculture, will leave no money behind him in Europe. But he hasn't done that as of yet. And you know, I mean, this would eliminate a lot of the confusion that is happening in Pillar 1. Because a lot of people think the only game in town is Pillar 1. And in reality, the big game for a lot of people in the poor and peripheral areas and also in the dry stock sector is the environmental scheme and the disadvantaged area schemes. And this is where the Minister has caused a lot of confusion by not coming out and indicating clearly where he stands on this issue.
Here, very important. Very important. As you see it, what is important in this CAP reform for farmers?
Well, as a Cork farmer, first of all, welcome to Cork Central. Secondly, as a dairy farmer, similar to a lot of you out here, rented land is vital. And it's vital that we have access to that land, and it is vital that it is more advantageous to us to farm the land than for other people to leave it idle and get the same payment. The second thing is on the environment side, greening. We're hearing a number of things about greening. We're worried about it in terms of what its impact is, in terms of the practicalities of it. But also, we're hearing now that greening is far from an environmental measure. It is purely being used as a method of flattening our payments, and we cannot allow that to happen.
Here, 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 here. He's based just on the north side of the city, White's Cross. So please give a big welcome there to Teddy. Teddy, many people would have the impression that dairy farmers, that liquid milk producers, that they might be able to get by maybe without the single farm payment. Can you tell us what is the real situation there?
I represent specialist liquid milk producers who have very high costs, extremely high costs in the current year due to huge increases in feed costs. We're being squeezed by the supermarkets and the processors on our price on an ongoing basis. In 2012, our output, our income from our business is similar to what it was in 2009. And any dairy farmer will remember that 2009 was the worst year we've ever had for milk production. 2012 was no better. And for us, in 2009, our single farm payment constituted 80% of our income. How can we live without 80% of our income in a year like 2012? It is not possible. So from my point of view, for our sector, it is vital our payment is maintained at the level it is at. We're a productive sector. Productivity is what life is about, it's what 2020 is about, and we cannot undermine productivity. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Farm business, the capacity of the farm to borrow, the repayment capacity. Can you explain the importance of the single payment there?
I think there can be no doubt about the importance of the payment. A lot of farmers will have made plans and commitments based on their present payment, and while they might even have factored in a small reduction in it, any suggestion of a huge reduction of 20, 30, 40% would completely bankrupt a lot of people. And I think it's important to recognise that in our area of the organisation, we deal with a lot of people as individuals, and I think it is often lost on politicians and commentators that we're some kind of an anonymous group out there. But when you deal with individuals, you see the specific impact it will have on them, then you realise the danger of the road we're going. And I think the signs you have in front of you clearly sets out the message of the impact it would have if it was to come to pass what is being proposed.
Well done. Thank you. County Waterford. He's our National Dairy Chairman. At home he's farming with his brother. They farm in a partnership there. He also has a bit of beef. So, Kevin, I'd like to ask you, How do you see the implications of the redistribution that's been talked about of the single farm payment, of things like a minimum payment that has been mentioned as in the latest talks, which potentially is very serious, which showed us putting up a minimum payment of 196 a hectare. What are the implications of that for dairymen?
If these payments, as outlined, are to be implemented, it will not only cut dairy farm income, it will cut investment on dairy farms, it will cut investment into our cooperatives, which are at the moment looking for our investment. Irish dairy farmers have committed themselves to achieving the targets of the Food Harvest 2020. That is by lifting milk production by 50%. This is going to cost dairy farmers on the ground 1.5 billion to be spent on their farms. And even here in Cork, in the Dairy Gold area, Dairy Gold are asking their farmers for a €50 million injection into the cooperative to meet the expansion and the processing facilities that will be required. If the cuts as outlined are implemented, we will not be in a position to meet the Food Harvest 2020.
Hear, 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 hear. What is at issue there for dairymen?
We have always said, dairy farming, because we're living in the world market, we're trading on the world market, we need some form of support from the EU. We have said it to the Minister time and again, we need a properly funded intervention, private storage and export refunds in order to safeguard our incomes. What's being proposed here is a crisis fund. Now this crisis fund is going to be financed out of the single farm payment. So what effectively they're doing is they're taking payment money out of from one hand and giving it to the other hand. This is not proper support for dairy farmers. We need more than that. We need properly funded mechanisms for the
Absolutely, absolutely, because